Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda-Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our Mom Sense and Dad Sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda-Gupta. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Back to school season is here, which means it's time to label everything. From water bottles to jackets, Name Bubbles makes it easy to keep track of your child's belongings with durable, dishwasher-safe, and laundry-safe labels. My 3 kiddos love choosing their own designs. Think unicorns and dinosaurs and more. And there are packs for daycare, school, sports, and even college. New this season, the custom clothing stamp. It's a quick, no-sew, no-iron solution that works on everything from onesies to swimsuits and lasts for over 40 washes. It's kid-safe, customizable, and even comes with refill kits for long-term use. Name Bubbles is mom-owned and proudly made in the USA, helping families stay organized for over 15 years. Check out my podcast interview with the founder, Michelle Brandress, from the archives. Visit namebubbles.com and use code MOMSENSE15 to receive 15% off your order. Happy labeling! Were your kids obsessed with outer space when they were really young? Well, today I'm meeting with someone who pursued her career in that line of work. Dr. Emma Louden is an astrophysicist, speaker, author, and president of Slooh. And I'm so excited to have her on That's Total Mom Sense today. Emma, it's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so exciting. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. You have to take us back, especially to those early days when you were just so fascinated by space.
Yeah. So I was always a super curious kid. I got into everything that I could to try and learn how it worked, why it worked. I grew up in Park City, Utah. And as part of that meant I grew up in the mountains. So every night when I would go outside, I could see the Milky Way. And that is such an amazing experience that I hope everybody gets to have at least one time in their life. Because looking up and seeing that band of stars stretched above you, it's just so awe-inspiring that words can never capture that feeling. So I was connected to the stars from the very first day.
Yes, that's incredible. And so your parents got you a telescope and...
Yeah, my dad was actually really interested in astronomy. So he had a telescope from the age when I was super little. So we always would go outside, haul the big heavy telescope outside. They make them a lot lighter now. But we'd haul it outside. And then he really introed me into space just through his kind of hobbyist interest in it. I got to go play play on NASA's website back when you connected to internet and there was a dial-up tone that you could like hear the big computer make.
That was so indicative of the times because it was like
you can just like hear the noise in your head still.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were connecting to space.
Exactly. But I used to go to NASA's website, and that was right around the time when the two rovers, Spirit and Opportunity, were about to land on Mars. Mm-hmm. So they were making a whole bunch of educational content around that. And my parents were, in general, pretty strict with media and computers and everything else. But I got to go to NASA's website, and I used to play this game where we would load up the rocket with all the things and then press the big red button and get to watch it go to Mars. And I remember very vividly watching the landing videos of Spirit and Opportunity as they landed on Mars.
Yes.
They came down in like bubble wrap, basically like pyramids of bubble wrap, and they would like bounce down onto the surface and then open up and the little rover would just roll right off.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my first intro to space, and I've loved it ever since.
That is so cool. And I think, credit to your parents for really honing in on this passion of yours from a young age. I want to know how you have it sustain because, my youngest son actually was obsessed with dinos. We learned so much from him. Like growing up, it was T-Rex, Triceratops, Brontosaurus, the end. Yeah. But he was like, did you know young Tyrannosaurus is from China? And this is a plesiosaurus. It swims. And we just, loved that he had this ability to go really deep. Yeah. And I remember reading some articles about that where sure, your kids should have a breadth of knowledge when they're early learners, learning their phonics and their numbers and whatever interests them. But then to go deep rather than just the breadth is amazing. So how do you recommend parents foster that? Because now, sadly, he's not really into dinos. He's like, I think I like Minecraft and I like Ninja Turtles. And, every birthday was dinos before that. So I'm like, no, we got to revive this. I want you to have this when you're like 25.
Yeah. I mean, I think from my personal experience, it's all about the input and what is around kids. Because for me, like I said, that early age, I was 3 or 4 when I first learned about space, and I loved it. I did the after school kindergarten club where we launched a rocket, and we have videos of me explaining my own Martian Plato rover. Wow. But then if you look at the scrapbook that my mom kept for my childhood, she'd ask me on the start of every school year, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answers after age 5 or so really were not at all related to anything space. It was I want to be a teacher. I want to be a dancer. There was an acrobat one year. I don't know where I got that from.
Yes. Yeah. Ringling Brothers, it's fine.
Exactly. It was nothing related to space or science.
Yes.
And it wasn't until 8th grade, actually, where I had a teacher say, I know you're interested in space and you're really good at physics. Have you heard about astrophysics? And that kicked off my dive back into space where I thought about, oh, could I actually be in this? And I think it really, I wish that somewhere along the way, there had been more books around me. There had been more content about girls in science, girls in space.
Yes.
But it just was never what I saw. I saw girls being teachers and dancers and performers of different kinds. And those are all amazing careers.
Right.
But I think it's so important to expose kids to everything that they can do and deliberately foster that environment that says you can be this.
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Sally Ride. She was the first U.S. female astronaut. And her quote is, you can't be what you can't see. Right. And I think that that's just so true for all kids. So if your kid loves dinos, to be able to help them see themselves as a paleontologist, and maybe they don't actually pursue paleontology, but it at least helps them know that it's an option and that it's a cool thing to do.
Yes, yes. And I have to give credit to your mom who she taught educators, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about her.
Yeah. So she's amazing. We're recording this right after Mother's Day, and I'm thinking about what a superhero she is. She has a Ph.D. in adult education, and her whole career has been devoted to teaching teachers and teaching leaders of nonprofits. Okay. And so she really took that mindset of education, and it was a huge part of my entire growing up. So the content that was around me in the form of books and movies and TV shows was all very curated so that it would inspire me in a way that she felt would empower me to be the best person that I could be. So it was a little bit limited in some ways, which little Emma didn't like, but as a grown-up, I really respect. Mm-hmm. I wasn't allowed to watch Disney movies when I was a kid. Disney has come a long way, but Disney in the 2000s was still very sexist. And I was never allowed to watch The Damsel in Distress.
Right.
And the books around me were all very supportive and uplifting and really encouraged me to be curious and encouraged me to look at the world I can do anything and I can be anything. I think that's so much easier now. There's so many more books out there, so many better stories now. But she did an incredible job curating that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, what's so interesting is sometimes you have to make the unpopular decisions and go against the grain. And your kids are going to give you so much shit for this.
Yep.
Luckily, you didn't, or maybe a little bit. A little, yeah. It's like, you mentioned to me offline, you never played with Barbies.
Yes.
And at an age where, that was just rampant. It's like every birthday, that's what a little girl wanted.
Yeah.
How was it navigating that for you at that age, but then also your mom to be like, I'm holding steadfast to this. I have my reasons, and you'll come to know later.
Well, I think part of it was that she actually explained the reasoning to me when I was very little. Like she said, like, you can't read these books and you can't watch these movies because they don't portray women well. They don't portray girls well. And I didn't really understand what that meant at the time, but I did have the rationale because she always talks about how when I was a kid, I would always ask why.
Right.
And she would try and explain the why. And you can explain it at a kid level and just be like, girls aren't portrayed well in that.
Yeah.
And they don't have to understand the deep roots of sexism in society.
Right.
But just enough to know, okay, like, this maybe isn't what I should be playing with. Yes. And it meant that even like there was one time when somebody gave me a Barbie doll for my birthday. But it was so funny because whenever I played with it, I was kind of like, I know that there's something weird about this. Like there's something I like maybe shouldn't really like about this Barbie doll.
Yeah.
So it never was my favorite toy and it just kind of languished in the closet.
Yes. I mean, you told me about how there was one where you pressed a button and what did it say?
Oh, there used to be a Barbie where when you pressed a button on it, it would say math is hard. Oh. And just like the message that gives to girls, no wonder my mom didn't want me to play.
Yeah. And it's changed. We've come a long way. Yes. And so it's not like, that narrative persists. But at the time, you had to be very discerning to be like, is this what I want to teach my kids? And, nip it in the bud if you can.
Yeah. And I got to give Mattel credit now because they do a lot. Like all their work with the Dream Gap and trying to help girls see themselves in every role. They've done so much cool research showing exactly what happens. Like by age 5, girls stop seeing themselves as scientists or engineers or CEOs. And by age 7, they're more likely to believe that boys are smarter than girls. And they're 3 times less likely to receive science-inspired gifts.
Oh, my goodness.
All of that is like research that Mattel has done through their Dream Gap campaign. So I got to give them credit.
Yes,
they've turned around,
incredible.
they've stepped up, and they're showing now that we have to show girls what they can be.
Right.
And we can do that with dolls. We can do that with stories. We can do that with media.
Yes. There's so much influence and impact there. And so then how did you decide to just really like go full speed ahead, lightning speed, if you will? Down this career path, and then pursue it at Princeton and Yale?
Yeah. So starting with that 8th grade science teacher, she really catalyzed this whole adventure for me. I started by reading all the books that I could get my hands on that were related to science. I've always been a bookworm, still am a bookworm. And the easiest access into anything in my mind is always books. Because libraries, bookstores, you can get access to so many worlds. Right. And for me, it was the world of science and astrophysics. So I read every pop culture book that I could. I watched all the old Bill Nye. I watched Cosmos. I just absorbed everything that I could. I dragged my parents to the planetarium. We became proud members of the Clark Planetarium in Salt Lake. In high school, my mom drove my friend and I up to like middle of desert Utah in the north to go watch a rocket booster test.
Okay.
That was for the Space Launch System. And I remember standing there and feeling the rumble of the ground underneath you as they test this booster. It was just the most awe-inspiring feeling. And all of that really launched me on the journey. The other catalyst event in high school was I attended a program called the Summer Science Program, which I joke is like the world's most generic name. But it's this amazing program that started in 1959 after Sputnik launched.
Okay.
And the goal was to try and get more STEM students in the U.S. And they started this summer program where people would go to a camp in California and spend a couple of weeks tracking the orbit of an asteroid and learning the math and the physics and the coding necessary to be able to determine the orbit and submit those orbital elements to the Minor Planet Center at Harvard. In its current form, there's now a bunch of campuses. They do astrophysics, they do genomics, they do biophysics, and they're blooming and growing in really cool ways.
Yes.
But the one I did was astrophysics in New Mexico. And it was the first place where I felt like, oh, this is what it feels like to do science, not just to learn science.
Yes.
Because I was the one collecting the photons on the telescope and I was writing the code and it was really, really hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my goodness.
I
the
loved the
trajectory
challenge.
of an asteroid.
But I love the challenge. And it was the first place where they had these college admissions people come and talk to us. And they were saying, oh, you should apply to Harvard. You should apply to Princeton. You should apply to MIT. And I'd never really heard somebody say that before. Like the Ivy League was just like this distant concept for me. It wasn't for me. It wasn't something I could do. And I started to look into it. And that was what launched me on the path to Princeton for my undergrad and then Yale for grad school.
Oh,
but it's all about those people who say, you can do this.
Yes. You can reach for the stars.
Yes, exactly.
So how did you decide what your course of study was going to be like at these institutions?
So Princeton, I chose deliberately because they have an astrophysics department.
Okay.
And it's separate than the physics department, separate than math. And it was just astrophysics. And it's a really storied astrophysics department. It's been around since the early 1900s. And it was so fun to walk the hallways because I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm walking the same carpet that the person who discovered like the radius of a black hole used to like walk on these carpets. And I would be so frustrated with my problem sets and then be like, wow, I'm walking where like the first female astronomers had their like first women in astronomy meeting.
Yes.
Like,
yes. That, I mean,
it just gets you out of the funk.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. But it was fun too because Princeton is a liberal arts institution. And that was one of my parents' requirements for me, was really the only requirement, is that my mom really wanted me to have a liberal arts education, even if I pursued science. And that was really important to her. And I'm so glad because I love that I got to study political theory alongside astrophysics. Yes. And I got to do, like, I spent a summer in Cuba studying urban anthropology in Spanish, which is so different. But all of those experiences really broadened my perspective for why science matters and how we can apply it in different areas and why being interdisciplinary is so important to being a contributing member of society.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Tell us about your thesis at Yale.
So I study exoplanets, which are planets that are outside of our solar system. We have our 8 beloved planets here in our solar system, but we know about 7,000 that are outside of the solar system. And then we think that pretty much every star has at least one planet around it, maybe more. And just to give some big numbers, there are 100 billion galaxies at least that each have 100 billion stars that each probably have at least one planet around them. So there's just huge amounts of planets out there. And if you think about like a game you can play, like design your own planetary system, like our own planetary system has these 8 planets. We have our rocky ones. We have our gaseous ones. We have our asteroid belt. They all orbit in the same plane around their star.
Right.
But you can imagine creating worlds that are so different than the ones that we have here.
Oh my goodness.
And the different types of planetary systems that could exist is really the core of my thesis, because I was asking, how can we understand a particular part of these planetary systems and how it can tell us about planet formation and evolution? So it was where planets orbit around their stars. Do they orbit around the equator? Do they orbit around the pole? And what can that tell us about which theories of planet formation and evolution do or do not apply over time?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to think like how vast our Milky Way is. And then there's, you said hundreds of billions of galaxies just like that out there in the ether.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What's your take on just extraterrestrial life forms?
Well, my take is I hope we're not alone.
Yes.
So
I mean, if there's
lonely.
that many, like, you know, what a waste if there was just the one that had the life force in it.
No, exactly. I mean, I sure hope we're not alone. I think we have so much to learn about what life actually is and how to define it. If you take any courses on like astrobiology or even read any books about it, it's really hard to define life. Yes. And that makes it really hard to search for.
Wow. You're so right.
It's a really complicated question to ask, is there life out there from a technical perspective? Because it's really hard to find. I did a research project in undergrad about, it's called planetary protection, which is like one of the most fun names for a research field.
Right.
But the whole field is about how do we protect planets when we go there and then protect Earth when we bring stuff back. Okay. So, for example, when we send rovers to Mars, they have to undergo a lot of different like heat blasting and other things here on Earth. They're built in clean rooms because what happens if we accidentally take a microbe for like it hitches a ride to Mars and then we find it in 20 years with one of our rovers, and we can't distinguish. Is it Martian life? Is it Earth life?
Oh,
Did
true.
our Earth life potentially kill Martian life?
Right.
And if it gets partially destroyed by UV on Mars, it becomes really hard to differentiate if it actually is from Earth or not.
Yeah.
So studying those technical sides of it is my interest in how we think about life.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I mean, we are evolved from a sponge.
Yeah.
So, to think how far, our civilization has come.
And how many things we could have split off into other, to be another type of being.
Yes.
It makes it so hard to define.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. And what's your take on just the Big Bang Theory?
I mean, I think it's such cool science. If you high school Emma at the summer science program, we got to learn from somebody who was had helped come up with part of the theory for it. And it is so cool.
Yes.
The physics behind it.
Oh my gosh.
How it all relates and the math behind it too. It's elegant. The equations that describe it in terms of the number of terms in the equation, very simple. And to me, that's the beauty of it, is it's these mathematical descriptions of these incredibly complex moments in time that can be described so elegantly that you can learn it as a high schooler.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
What has it been like being a female in STEM? Because, the numbers are far skewed the other way. And do you feel like it's just this rat race in a way?
So I think that we have a lot of progress that has been made, and we have a long ways still to go.
Yes.
I've definitely faced challenges with inclusion and belonging and being left out or talked down to over the whole course of my career. That started even back in 6th grade when you test into which math class you're going to be in.
True.
And what I've found, though, is that it's the community of women and allies around you who make it possible, make it desirable, keep you connected to why you're doing it and your why. So back in 6th grade, for me, it was my front row girls. There were 8 girls who tested into the high math class. And we sat together in the front row, and we had our colored pens and highlighters.
Yes.
And we just leaned into everything that we loved. And it was amazing. But there was a lot of attrition. By the time I got to 12th grade, there were 3 of the 6 that were still in the high math classes.
Aww.
And in college, I was sometimes one of 2 girls in my physics courses. But I found communities and I found supporters, and that's how you make it through, is you try and find those mentors and the people who will help you break the system so that we can remake it into a way that is going to be supportive and try and give that back in the form of mentorship to the next generation.
Yes.
Kick the door open, kick it down.
Yes. Yeah. No more door.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What advice do you have for parents who have, again, girls, boys, all who are curious, to go into STEM and stick with it, because it is hard.
Yes.
It is forever changing in this, world of AI that we live in, but it is also so imperative.
Yeah. I think my advice for parents who have kids who are interested and curious is to just nurture that, and whatever it looks like for your kid.
Yeah.
And don't let them fall prey to the ideas that it's too hard for them or they can't do it. I think everybody can do science if they want to. It really, the idea that you have to be this brilliant genius person to do math and science is completely false. You just have to be persistent and care about it.
I feel so seen. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. And you don't have to put yourself in a box. I remember you said that in an interview, society's going to do that for you anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so don't say, oh, I'm only good at writing. I'm only good at the arts or humanities. No, you could be this and.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
it's one of the comments I get sometimes, especially on planes or something. People ask, what do you do for work? And I say I'm an astrophysicist, and their first response is almost always, oh, you must be so smart. And that's meant as such a compliment, and I appreciate that.
Right.
But it also shuts down the conversation, because your options to respond to it are either, oh, I'm not really, or yes, I am, but then people really don't respond super well to that either.
Yes.
And it just further perpetuates this idea that to do math and science, you have to be on this pedestal of intellectualism or something that's really just all BS.
Right.
I am not smarter than anybody who does incredible artwork or incredible theater. I've just explored a different part of my brain and persisted in a different field. And I think that breaking down that perception around math and science, that it's this high on a pedestal in an ivory tower. Like, no.
No, yeah.
We're just people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up and shedding light on that. But I think one thing that is, just so unique about your worldview, though, is that because you are so entrenched in all things outer space and what's going on in the vast, you probably allow yourself to feel so small and remember that it's like we are just but a speck.
Yes.
And so even our problems and our daily grind and struggles are nothing.
Yes.
Nothing compared to this huge universe that we're a part of.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So cool.
I think it's the best part of studying science, and in particular studying astronomy, is you get this perspective on the world that is so humbling, but also so empowering and engaging, because when you go out at night, you look up at the night sky. If you hold your pinky up to the night sky, the amount of space in the sky that your fingernail of your pinky covers has 10,000 stars in it. Wow. And that it's so amazing because it makes me feel so tiny.
Yes.
But then reflecting back on how amazing it is that we're alive here on this speck of dust floating around a star, that makes everything feel so much less important, but also so much more important.
Right.
Like, it makes it more important to show up and be a good friend and be a good daughter and be a good citizen.
Yes.
And more important to just live from a place of love, because we're alive, and that's so cool.
And it's so cool. It's so cool. It shouldn't be lost on us.
Exactly.
Every single nanosecond shouldn't be lost on us.
When I was in college, I really struggled a lot with anxiety and panic attacks.
Okay.
Mental health was it was a hard struggle for me when I was at Princeton. And the thing that grounded me was when I would leave the library in January. It was pitch black in New Jersey at like 4 p.m. in January, studying for finals, walk out of the library, backpack so full of heavy books. And if you look up, you could see the stars. Not as many as in Utah because of the glow from New York City, but they were still there. And that was how I would ground myself when I was so stressed, is to pause, literally go outside and look at the stars.
And then look at the stars.
And be like, none of this matters.
Yes. It really doesn't.
And spoiler alert to past
so cool.
Emma, none of it did.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if we just think of like what was worrying me 5 years ago, we wouldn't even be able to remember.
Yeah.
And so, why just sit in the shit for so long?
Exactly.
Now, tell us about your TED Talk, because this was really, really interesting. I feel like you've given a few,
yes,
right?
I've given two.
Yes. So what have those subjects covered?
Yeah. So the first one I did in high school, actually. It was inspired by my debate speech.
Okay.
In high school, I did oratory debate, and my whole speech was about why we should fund NASA, and why we should care about NASA, why we should care about space exploration.
Right.
So NASA is one of the best investments that the government makes in anything in terms of return on investment, like just from an economic sense.
Okay.
So we have less than every half of a penny of a tax dollar goes to NASA's budget in as it was in fiscal year 2024.
Yeah.
Those numbers are set to be slashed in the coming years.
Oh my goodness.
But it's
half of a penny.
Half of a penny. And with all of that, we do all of the exploration that you see. We have the International Space Station. We have the programs to go to the moon. We have the programs to go to Mars. We have all the astrophysics work, the telescopes like Hubble and the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yes.
All of that comes from this tiny fraction of
Oh
a budget.
my gosh. In addition to, you explained even water filtration, LASIK, like a laser eye surgery, all of that technology is the same coming from NASA, right?
Exactly. So one of my favorite documents that NASA produces every year is called the NASA Spinoff document.
Okay.
And they track how the technologies that are developed for NASA play out into other parts of our daily life. So you could go around this room and point to a whole bunch of different things that were all connected to space. And my favorites are, when I talk about in that TED Talk, LASIK eye surgery, which the algorithm that's used for LASIK eye surgery was designed to dock the space shuttle on the International Space Station.
Oh my gosh.
So that little nose of the space shuttle can just go boop into the ISS. Wow. And then my other favorite one is memory foam mattresses.
Yes.
Because they were designed for softer landings for astronauts in the space shuttle. And now most people sleep on them every night.
Right.
Or Brita filters, water filtration, solar panels, like CCD technology. The list just goes on and on and on.
Oh my gosh.
And it's all tied back to space.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. We actually went to Houston recently. I didn't get to tell you about this. But, visited NASA, and I wish we had more time there. Wow. What has been something fun that you've discovered being in these programs and in this ecosystem, really?
I mean, I think the best part of the whole space industry, like there's so much cool technology, there's so much cool innovation, but for me, the most fun part is how passionate people are. Like if you go to NASA, if you go to visit any space exploration related company, any contractors, anybody who does anything space related is so passionate.
Yes.
And my favorite people are people who care about something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So should we consider for our kids, like space camp? What's your...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I went to space camp in 8th grade. It was my first time flying alone across the country to go there. I was terrified.
Yes. Rite of passage right there.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, yes.
I was so scared, but I loved it. It was so fun. I still have my like jumpsuit that we bought that's like I look like an astronaut. It was really fun. And it was a precursor to realizing how much I enjoy leading because the final day of camp, we got to do a simulation of a mission. And you get to have astronauts, you get to have people who are in all the different roles in mission control. And then there's a flight director.
Yes.
And nobody had volunteered to be flight director. And I, in my head, was kind of like, oh, I really want that. But I wasn't going to say that out loud.
Right. Yes.
But somebody said, well, Emma, maybe you could be the flight director. And I remember being like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking it. I manifested that.
And it was just the most fun experience to get to simulate a whole space mission. We weren't successful, but it was really fun.
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. And what's your take on SpaceX and I guess the innovation coming out of there and then the, I guess, accessibility that they're creating for everybody to feel like, you want to go up, we can arrange that.
Mm-hmm. So SpaceX as a company has a really interesting story because they're tied so deeply into public-private partnership with NASA. Mm-hmm. In the late 2008, 2009, there was a program called Constellation that was canceled within NASA that was going to be the return to the moon.
Okay.
And instead, they put a lot of that money and a lot of energy toward public-private partnerships and the commercial space program. Mm-hmm. And SpaceX, well, people didn't really know about it at that time. It was actually in existence already. Mm-hmm. And they were starting to build the reusable and relaunchable rockets. Lori Garver, who is affectionately my space mom, she's the founder of a program called the Brooke Owens Fellowship. And at the time, she was the associate administrator at NASA.
Okay.
And she really pioneered the commercial space partnerships within NASA and said, how do we get a launch vehicle back on U.S. soil and push this idea of we invest in all these contractors to try and do it. Right. So it's not just the legacy aerospace defense contractors that have built stuff for NASA for a long time, but invest in this new space ecosystem.
Okay.
So that was SpaceX, that's Virgin Galactic, that's the United Launch Alliance, that's Boeing's mission and to do their own launch program. Mm-hmm. So that really started this whole amazing last 15 years of space industry innovation that we've seen.
Yeah.
And now the fact that you can reuse a booster, you can relaunch all these, even one of my friends works on drone ships at SpaceX. It's incredible all that you can do with this.
Right.
They're certainly not the only ones too. There are so many other companies that are doing incredible work. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see what this industry grows into. I think we're on a good trajectory.
Yes. It's really, really cool. I go back to thinking of, a project that I did in 5th grade. Yeah. It was on a book that we read called The Green Book. Mm-hmm. And I remember feeling like, oh, wow, this is so cool. It's about a family who has to move to Mars. Mm-hmm. And slowly they were kind of just cycling through everyone on Earth and say, because Earth was going to blow up. So we all had to migrate to Mars. And so this young girl decides to make a time capsule. And so we all had to do that. And I remember in my team project, I put together a newspaper of what the first newspaper on Mars would look like. And it was replete with headlines and op-eds and even a classifieds for who's the best rover operator we're looking for, call this number. And it was really fun. But I can't believe that now, decades later, it's actually very close and palpable. We can go to Mars. It's crazy.
It's coming. Yeah. I mean, Mars is still trying to kill us, to be clear. It's a really tough place to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a long way to go before we're going to be able to sustain life there for a long time.
Right.
So we have a long way to go, but I'm so excited about that because I think it gets people thinking about what are all these other jobs. Like in your classifieds,
Yes.
it's so fun. When I go into classrooms and talk to students, I always say, like, we don't just need astronauts and scientists and engineers in space. We need people who can run businesses. We need people who are lawyers. They're space lawyers. That is a job.
Ooh.
And like, that is such a cool job.
Yes. That
I
is
always
amazing.
throw out that, like, maybe we need 1 or 2 space princesses too. Like, everybody can be on those classified lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now, we really can make up new career paths, it's really amazing how the world is our oyster.
Yeah.
Tell us about your children's book.
Yeah.
Because this is just so wonderful. I love that you worked towards that, had this goal and made it happen. So start from like when it was just a seed in your head.
Yeah. So the seed in my head started actually at the start of graduate school. I love passion planners. I've been using them for 6 years now.
Okay. It's like a physical planner.
It's a physical planner. I'm a very much like paper planner girl.
Okay.
And what's amazing about the Passion Planner, it's an incredible company in general. But what I love about it is at the start of it, they have this thing, it's an exercise to do called your Passion Planner Roadmap. And you lay out what are your goals for the next 3 months, 3 years, and 5 years in your lifetime. And so I did that on my birthday during my first year of graduate school and laid out what are my goals for graduate school, basically.
Okay.
I have never been able to recreate the feeling of just letting those goals flow out of you with no stoppers in your head of like, oh, maybe you shouldn't want that, or maybe you shouldn't try that, or that's too hard.
Yes.
Whatever happened that birthday, it was awesome because the list I wrote was so fun.
Okay, yeah, and you achieved it all?
We're working on it. There are some lifetime ones there that we're still going towards, but I was able to get to a lot of them. But one of them was writing a children's book.
Okay.
And so last year I was sitting down and was like, okay, I have 1 year left of graduate school. What do I want to do? What do I need to do from this list still? And I saw the one that was become a children's book author. And I was like, I have this idea. I've been sitting on it for a very long time. This is my just like kick in the butt to do it. I have a year left of graduate school. Can I write a book in a year? And it turned out that writing a book was actually really quick. Especially children's books. They're less than 1,000 words.
Right.
So it was like 3 months.
Nothing compared to your dissertation. It's like hundreds of pages.
Such a fun creative outlet in the midst of writing that.
Yes. Yes.
But I did the writing the story. I partnered with my amazing co-author, Dr. Tanya Harrison, who is she called herself a professional Martian. She used to drive the rovers herself, and has an incredible career in space of her own right. And so she helped me write the little science pop-outs, which if you ever read like Magic School Bus books that have the science pop-outs, they're inspired by that.
Okay.
So the story is about a little girl named Mia who goes to Mars, and she meets all the rovers. And all the rovers on Mars are named things like Spirit and Curiosity and Perseverance and Opportunity and Sojourner. So all these names that are actually usually done by contests from kids.
Right.
But then they have these incredible meanings behind them. And not only that, but the world has fallen in love with these rovers. Yes. So like Spirit and Opportunity was fondly known as OPPI.
Okay.
And when OPPI's solar panels got covered with dust, NASA had her own little Twitter account. And she sent this last tweet that was like, my batteries are low. It's getting dark. And people recorded videos of themselves crying as this rover died.
Yeah.
And it is a hunk of metal on Mars where the batteries are turning off. Like it's really not.
Right. Yes. Personified, but it's so cool.
But the personification of it is so fun. So that's what I wanted to bring into the book. So the book has all these personified rovers who are hopping around Mars with Mia and helping her solve this problem where she lost her rocket. And so they help her along the way, and they teach her how to get around Mars, and they teach her science facts about Mars. But along the way, they also teach her all of these emotional stories. Yes. And they teach her that to get through hard problems, you have to keep your spirits up, and you have to persevere. And you have to have curiosity.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. Could you show us the book?
Yeah, so this is the book. That's Mia. That is Nebula, her little adventurous cat, inspired by my cat Nebula. The images in it were done by Wouter Postman, who is an incredible illustrator, and they're just so fun because they capture all this energy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love it.
And you can just see Mia interacting with the rovers, and the rovers are accurate too. So while they have smiles and faces, they're also accurate enough that you can look at a picture of these and then look at the real ones and say, oh, I know which one that is.
Oh, wow.
Which is part of the goal too. So
That's
kids can
so cool.
experiment between. So,
yes. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to read this to my kids. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And I want them to identify which rover matches which page. Like that's so
and there's a fun design your own rover exercise at the end. So kids can say, okay, what instruments would I want on my rover? What would I want it to be able to do? What would I name it? And I've been loving seeing the submissions. People tag me in online of their kids and the rovers that they drew. There have been such creative ones out there. So anybody who has your kid do that, I would love to see what comes out of it.
Yes, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I want to segue into a book that you grew up with that your mom introduced to you.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, books can really have this indelible impact on our kids and their psyche. So share that book too.
So it's called Dancing in the Wings. And it's a book about this girl who loves to dance, wants to be a dancer, wants to do professional ballet, which I loved to dance when I was little. But the funny thing is I took a dance class and I hated being told how to dance. Okay. So it lasted for like a semester of dance class. And that was it.
Yes.
Which
that's so
is
fun.
representative of my life. I didn't like being told what to do. But this particular book was really fun because Sassy is the main character. Her name is Sassy. She's super tall and she's got really big feet, which was very much hallmarks of my childhood. I was also almost a head taller than most people and very quickly outgrew my mother's shoe size. And
right.
Yeah.
Oh, how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah. You definitely have a presence when you walk into a room.
This book is such a special one. The other thing that's really fun in it is it's about like, how do you stand out? How do you like lean into your gifts that allow you to stand out?
Right.
And so for me, the visual in this book that she always uses is she wears this bright yellow leotard when she goes to this dance evaluation. And so that's why I actually wear this yellow blazer. I bought it because I saw it at J. Crew and was like, that's my yellow leotard.
That's your yellow leotard. Oh my God, that's beautiful.
So when I want to stand out, when I want to own my presence.
Yes.
And I think those little reminders are so important because they keep us in our power.
Absolutely they do. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And now tell us about Slooh.
Yes. So I'm so excited that after graduation, I'm going to be joining a new education technology startup role for me, new to me. It's been around for a little while.
Yes.
But new to me, I'll be joining as the president of Slooh.
Oh my gosh, congrats.
Thank you. I'm so excited. It is a dream come true.
Yeah.
It is, if you imagine it, is like if Duolingo meets Khan Academy, but then you add in real telescopes and satellite data. So kids get to be like the actual scientists doing the work. So
that is wild. Okay.
It's
and
so
it's
fun.
all online.
It's all online. Yes. So it's imagine you log into a platform. There's curriculum for kindergarten all the way through college.
Okay.
And then also hobbyist, amateur, anybody who wants to learn about space and then also learn about Earth science. You get to control telescopes around the world. So research grade telescopes, research grade satellite data, but it's in your hands to control and learn about all, like for the curriculum, it's all standard aligned so that schools can adopt it really easily, whether they have access to their own telescopes or satellites. It doesn't matter. It really levels the playing field because you just get the subscription for your classrooms and every student gets to control these telescopes and get real data themselves. And really, like I learned at the summer science program, they get to do science, not just learn about science.
Right.
And with the satellite data, they get to get real satellite data that researchers use to learn about how our world changes, how you can use satellite data in so many different jobs now.
Yeah.
So part of my goal as the president, as I step into this role, is going to be expanding the Earth science curriculum, bringing in more satellite data, connecting Earth science and astronomy together, and then getting this in front of as many kids as possible. Because I want every kid to have the experience of saying, that's a galaxy that I took a picture of. I collected those photons.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And so where can we find Slooh? How can we tinker with it? How can we get schools involved?
Yeah. So Slooh you can find at just slooh.com. Anybody can sign up for a membership. So like I said, schools can sign up for subscriptions and we have a whole education team that helps curate that.
Okay.
And we have support to help teachers who maybe don't have background in astronomy or earth science. But it's really a turnkey solution to just have schools who want to say, look at the STEM program that we can build. And it's as simple as having this access to these telescopes and satellites that you don't have to buy because all already part of Slooh.
Yes.
But there's also cool options for like, if you have a kid who's interested in science, you can just buy a membership for your family.
Right.
And it's a really cool summer activity, after school activity. They can go on to Slooh. It's a good learning website for them to explore the history of science. They can explore the quests are what they're called, the lessons within it. The quests cover so many different topics and really not just science and engineering.
Yes.
It also relates to like the history, and you can learn about the mythology and different cosmologies that explain like how we've interpreted the night sky over time as humans.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Your kids can explore, and they can task the telescopes to take images. And so you can wake up the next morning and in your inbox, you'll have the photo that they took of whatever galaxy. And it can really inspire a whole love of astrophotography. It can inspire a love of science. It can inspire a love of art. So it's a really fun option to help inspire that curiosity in kids.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. I definitely want to get my kids involved. And I feel like, screen time can have a whole new vibe to it when you're like, if you're on Slooh, stay on for hours. It's totally fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we're trying to create too, is really a community where it can be like you share, instead of social media where you're liking photos or looking at photos of people and there's so much judgment and like all the stuff that goes on with social media and kids. If instead it's a feed of pictures of galaxies and rivers and lakes that they take photos of with the satellites, or it's photos of their favorite crater on the moon, like that is such an amazing thing for kids to get to bond over. Right. And say, oh, I took a photo of that one too. Can we compare what it looked like at different times? Can we like build that community together? It's just so special.
Yes. I wanted to do some space jokes with you.
Okay.
And a rapid fire. Okay. So these are some of my kids' favorites. Let's see if I remember. One is, so what do the planets like to just listen and jam out to in space?
I don't know.
Neptunes.
That's so good.
How do you put a baby astronaut to sleep?
I don't know.
You rock it.
These are great.
Yeah.
I have to steal these.
Yes, they're so fun. And how do you throw a party in space?
You plan it.
You plan it. That's it. That's it. So they're just
That's so fun.
Okay, let's go into our rapid fire. What is your zodiac sign?
I think I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. When's your birthday?
November 27th?
Yes. Maybe. Yeah. We'll have to look that up. Okay. I know it goes into December. Yes. Okay. You're definitely a Sag. Okay. Love that. Favorite constellation?
Orion. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And then you've seen it, I'm sure.
I love Orion. It's so easy to spot in the night sky because it's the Hunter's Belt. So it's 3 stars in a row. Yes. And there's a little cluster you can see right below it. That's a really fun, like, can you spot it? It used to be a vision test for the ancient Greeks, actually, with how many you could see in that cluster. And my parents always used to say that they saw Orion on the way to the hospital while I was being born. So that's why it's my favorite constellation.
Yes. Oh, that's so meaningful. Do you have, I guess a favorite science discoverer? Like if I were asked, I loved Galileo, but if you do you have one like that you're like, oh, I loved reading about this person?
So I love the computers at Harvard, like Annie Jump Cannon and a whole bunch of them. They were called like Pickering's women, but they classified stars for the first time. Oh, wow. And there's a really cool book called Glass Universe. Okay. Glass Universe. It's incredible. And it talks about their background and how they classified stars for the first time ever by taking all these images, and they figured out why stars are different colors and different temperatures, how that maps onto images. It was so cool. Also, you hear about William Herschel. His sister, Caroline Herschel, was also an incredible astronomer. And she gets written out of history a lot. So it's fun to learn about her.
Yes. You have to do some digging.
Yes.
That's great. What's some sort of space-related term or concept that like parents should know and be able to like impart to their kids?
This answer is perhaps a little bit goofy, but I think it's the one that inspires kids. Like, kids get excited about it the most. The best word to teach a kid about space is bispaghettification. Okay. And it's what happens if you fall into a black hole. Because you'll just get torn apart in two. Like, you'll get stretched and stretched and stretched until you get torn apart into two over and over and over again until it's atoms. Which is like a wow. Gory concept.
There's spaghetti in the word?
But it's called bispaghettification. Okay. Yes. So it's like a favorite word for 8-year-olds.
You basically turn to spaghetti.
Exactly.
That is so cool. Love it. Love it. What was the last thing that you Googled about the cosmos? I mean, I guess you don't even really need, you have written so much yourself.
You'd be shocked how much I have to Google sometimes. I was writing a lesson plan for a program I'm going to teach later this summer. So I was looking up the names of craters on the moon most recently.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And then what's one thing that your, experience learning so much about this field has taught you about humanity, something that parents can take a cue from as we're teaching our kids? The big picture. Take us to the big picture.
The big picture. I think for me, it goes back to what we talked about earlier with awe and wonder, and how do we hold that wonder in the universe in our daily lives.
Yes.
So for me, that comes in what I call practical hope. It's about looking for hope in our lives. Where do we observe hope? Whether that's through space, whether it's through interactions with people, through art. It can be, you have so many ways of observing hope.
Yeah.
But then how do we convert that and have it be practical hope that inspires us to action? Because there's so much negativity in the world. There's also so much toxic optimism and toxic positivity. And what space has given me and what my career has given me is this perspective that we're so small and yet we are so lucky to be alive. Yeah. So when the world feels overwhelming, which it does so often right now, to be able to pause and say, there's so many terrible things happening. And I feel so overwhelmed and I feel so anxious and I feel so mad to then step outside and say, there's that fingernail and there's those 10,000 stars. I can take a deep breath. I can breathe. I can inhale this perspective of I'm so small, but also remember that I'm so lucky to be alive on this planet.
Yeah.
And then go to bed with this calm, relaxed feeling and with the energy to wake up the next morning and keep fighting for a better world.
Wow.
It's not giving up. It's not ignoring. It's arming ourselves with that practical hope.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to hold on to that myself and pass it on to my husband and my kids and everyone I know. Yeah. I think it's a great reminder, especially in just the hustle bustle of our days, you know. So that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Emma. This was amazing.
I'm so happy this worked out.
High five. High five. This is great. Thank you.
This is so good.
Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda-Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't already. Thanks for being in my tribe.